Hello and welcome back to episode number 78 of the TalkNorwichCity podcast. Norwich have returned to the top of the league, and to talk all things Norwich City this week, we are joined by former Norwich City programme editor and all-round top man, Mr. Pete Rogers. How you doing, mate?
Very well, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, thanks so much for coming along.
No problem.
Let's get straight in amongst it. Norwich City 4, Bolton Wanderers 0. We'll talk about the defeat in midweek in a moment, but Pete, that was some performance, wasn't it?
Fantastic, and I think we were very fortunate that, despite losing at Preston, we had a game so swiftly afterwards. You wouldn't wanted to have lost 3-1 at Preston, then had a fortnight with an international break to mull on that, and the doubts creep in. To coin a phrase, if you fall off your bike, you want to get back on it straight away, and we did that in the best possible way, I think, didn't we? Really?
Yeah, I mean, Chris, I was there. You watched all the game as well. Was it a sense of Norwich being really good, or was Bolton just woeful?
I think a bit of both, to be fair. I don't think it was us being ridiculously good and then being ridiculously bad. I just kind of thought it was kind of in the middle, really. I don't think it was... I thought it was convincing, though. As I'll get it in early, Jack, your boy Remy getting in Player of the Week, despite the fact that he conceded 4 goals. That says an awful lot about the game, doesn't it?
It does, and we'll talk about Remy. He got in the Who Scored Team of the Week, along with 6 Norwich City players. I don't think I've seen that many players getting a Team of the Week from a single club. I was speaking about it with some colleagues earlier, Pete. If you had to pick your player of the season now, it'd be very tough, wouldn't it?
No, it'd be Pookie. And
really?
Oh, of course, yeah. Absolutely.
Max Aarons?
Like that.
No,
like that Kissel.
Pookie, head and shoulders. Yeah.
Chris, Timu Pukki, he's 23 goals, 7 assists this season. That's more than anyone in Europe except for Lionel Messi.
Yeah.
But not enough to get in the Norwich City Player of the Year award in your eyes.
Well, I'm just putting the questions out there, Pete. He has been quite something, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's been outrageous. He's been incredible. The way that he's continuously delivered. We've all played him down. That's the thing. And I think if you had asked that question kind of a month ago, you would still have a few of the other players in, but you can't not give the player of the season to Pukki now. I'm not sure what was the record that he was on or coming up to. He could beat the record goals scored in a season.
He equalled Ross Jack's 6 consecutive games for scoring in goals, didn't he? In games.
And then he's near off. Is he 2 or 3 off Holty?
I think
now
he's 1
for
off
a season.
Holty.
Well, there you go. That says an awful lot, doesn't it?
I mean, I think the record amount of goals in a season for a Norwich player is 31. Pukki's on 23 with 13 games to go.
Well, it's not inconceivable, is it?
No.
If he keeps fit and carries on doing what he's doing, he's going to do it, isn't he, realistically? Yeah. But, I think the thing you've got to measure him by is if we were to lose him, if we were to lose a player through injury, who is the one you'd least like to lose?
Yeah.
Well, you'd have to be, say, him, I think.
Well, I thought it was Maurice Leitner, I must admit, and I think we did. Do you not think Jordan Rhodes could step up and do a job?
Not really, do you?
Do you not like Jordan Rhodes?
I like Jordan Rhodes. I think he's a fantastic character, good player. He seems to be the impression you get when you hear from players. He's a good guy to have around the place, but I suppose he'll say through lack of chances, but he hasn't really delivered the goods, has he? I mean, how many goals has he got?
I think he's delivered the goods when he's been on the pitch, Pete. Don't think you can argue that from his stats, old boy.
No, you look at the number of games he's played and the goals he's got.
I think
he'll point to a lot of them being substitute appearances and playing second fiddle to Pukki. But
how good is it though that you've
got... Three of his goals came in the Wickham Cup game. Let's not forget.
Wow. Wickham are a quality side, mate.
Wow.
Akinfenwa.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I think we've had some questions on Twitter. We'll get onto them in a little while. But Pete, you were at the club for 15 years and you oversaw a lot of different managers. Just talk us through the managers that you oversaw.
Well, when I first became programme editor in October 2000, Brian Hamilton was the manager. So then I did it all the way through the Nigel Worthington era, which I must say was excellent. Then came Peter Grant. Then came Glen Murray.
He had some fun programme notes then, didn't you?
Well, Peter Grant, yeah, he had a lot of detail to give, it has to be said. Yeah. Very. He had a lot to say for himself. Yeah. But always very helpful and honest, and he was good. They were all very good, to be honest with you. Yeah.
So I mean, that's quite. What did your role entail at the time? Because you're almost having just whatever the form, whatever Norwich City are. as a programme editor, I assume you're having to try and put the club in the best light possible.
Oh, of course. I mean, it is the official programme, so it has to toe the sort of party line of what the club are trying to say. And as you quite rightly say, whether we win, lose or draw, there always has to be a programme. You know, you've got to keep churning them out, and it's an awful lot easier to get it done when we're winning. Players are more keen to do the interviews and talk about things than when you've just lost, 3 games on the spin. And would you like to be the featured player? Gary Doherty to talk about our latest 3-0 defeat at Burnley. They're not so enthusiastic to do it. Whereas I would imagine if you asked Pookie to do something at the moment, he's probably going to be fairly susceptible to the idea, should we say.
I mean, through that 15 years, there's been some incredible highs and some lows as well. Did you ever have a point where sort of a Glen Roeder you'd have to go to a Glen Roeder and say, look, we're putting together the notes now. He said something, despite all fans knowing it's going completely tits up, and you just listening and thinking, the fans aren't going to buy this. The fans are not going to buy this.
I mean, I think Glenn was always quite honest. He was okay. He was one of the ones, I'd say, actually, he was quite interested and diligent on the programme column. He was quite keen. He had quite a lot of input in it and was keen to make sure that it was all okay. Wasn't always the easiest to get hold of, but he was when you got him, he was quite good.
Yeah, and you're now on to writing books now, which is great, and we'll have a flick through here. Now, the foreword in this book is by a certain Paul Lambert.
That's right. I mean,
talk to me first of all what this book is about. The title's Bragging Rights.
The book is titled Bragging Rights, a series of books by a company called Toucan, who are based up in Sunderland. They've done these books for a number of clubs, and they are really a sort of celebration of your Derby Day success. So there's every post-war victory over Ipswich Town in there, a match report for each game, etc. And I put this together, would have been started on it probably this time last year. Got it all finished, needed a foreword, and I thought to myself, well, who better than the man who oversaw a 4-1 victory and a 5-1 victory over Ipswich than Paul Lambert? I mean, this was at the time when I should imagine Paul Hurst was in the process of being appointed Ipswich manager, so I wasn't to know, and nor was Paul Lambert to know at the time, that he was going to end up managing Ipswich Town. So,
can I just say, I got this in my stocking at Christmas.
That's a large stocking you've got, Chris.
Stinks of a stocking filler. And I recommend getting it. Bragging Rights.
£20. That's a lot for a stocking filler.
Yeah.
I'd have that in the main present.
What can I say,
not
man?
main present category, but it's one up from stocking, surely.
I'm doing well for myself, I tell you, mate.
I mean, obviously a very affluent individual.
The final paragraph here is, this book that Peter has written provides details of every single Norwich win over Ipswich since the war, and I'm sure it will make great reading for all Norwich supporters. Now, I'm wondering, is there going to be an updated version with Norwich City beating Paul Lambert's Ipswich Town side?
Well, this is the thing with these kind of books, aren't they? As soon as you press the button to print it, and you win another game, the book then becomes out of date, doesn't it? So I don't think that's going to be worth another book on its own. But
we've had Gary Carser on this podcast. We've had people who have come into contact with Paul Lambert. You came into contact with Paul Lambert, of course, during his time at the club. Were you surprised to see him go to Ipswich? Did he strike you as that kind of character?
I think professional football people, it's their living, it's their way of life. They're not fans, Paul Lambert was Norwich City manager. He was not a Norwich City supporter. And that's they'll go where the work is at the end of the day. And I think you've got to say, if you're working for Anglia TV, correct?
Yeah.
And if you
I'd never leave, Pete.
No, but if someone come along and offered you 5 times as much money to go and work for another TV company.
He's not. Yeah, I reckon.
You
He's
go,
off.
If the Anglia fans want to keep me,
well, you know what I'm saying.
Of course.
Yeah.
What was it like during your time at the club? Was Paul always very kind to you? Was he a top man?
Fantastic, yeah. Superb guy. Yeah, he spent a lot of time in the office at the club, talking to staff. He was very humorous. He wasn't the sort of deadpan match of the day manager that you sometimes see. He comes across as, sometimes a bit, sometimes people say, these dull Scottish people, etc. They get that kind of reputation, but he was very humorous, great one-liners, very dry sense of humour, and thoroughly decent chap. And so much so that when I wanted the foreword for that book, you can pick up the phone and he'll do it for you.
So do you think it's, with that being said, do you think it's almost harsh and unnecessary, the reaction he's had from Norwich City fans?
Very much so, yeah. I think he deserves huge respect for what he did for us as our manager for 3 years. He gave us a ride that we'll probably never ever get in our lifetime.
Has he not had that respect already though, Pete?
I think so, yeah. But
So why should we respect him now? He's crossed the border. He's crossed the line.
He has, but you can't rewrite history. He still did what he did, didn't he?
I'm not disagreeing with you, Peter. I'm just, light and shade.
Well, no, it's all
That's
about opinions.
It's totally fair enough.
Yeah.
I tell you what, on the topic of Paul Abbott and Ipswich, I love it when it comes to Derby Day because I always get a little ping, a little DM from this man, Pete Rogers, and he says, Revo, get 20 quid on Ipswich to win.
Absolutely, every time.
Bit of security, bit of security, every season, bit of security. If I was to go back through my messages, there's about 6. Bit of security, 20 quid. Bit of security, 20 quid.
Are you a pessimist then, Pete?
Well, I think
Yes,
I think
you are.
You get 3 types of people in this world. You get your optimists, your pessimists, and your realists.
Yeah.
And I suppose I probably tread that line between realism and pessimism.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm not the most optimistic, no. And there's nothing more painful than losing to Ipswich Town, is there? So I always think if you're going to have to suffer that pain, you might as well pick up a few quid in the process, mightn't you?
So you've lost a hell of a lot of money.
Well, I wouldn't say a hell of a lot of money. No, I mean, Chris is making out of kiss goodbye to the family. The odd 10 or 15 quid here and there just to cover yourself off. To think because we've always been strong favourites to win these games in recent
Norwich
times.
fans.
If you've got the money though, decent shout that, isn't it? You could do it on every game, shouldn't
I
you?
wouldn't say every game.
Put a fiver on, Pete, just in case, bit of security.
If we lose a game 3-1 at Preston, it's not going to ruin me for the next 6 months, is it? Whereas if you lost to Ipswich, it would be a painful experience.
Got to say, I'm sorry to the Preston fans.
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
I am because, I know it's disrespectful. Teams like Preston, and I was wrong, and I'm sorry. And you hit us, and you beat us, well and truly, and fair play to you. And I deserve all of the stick that I got from the Preston fans. I just thought, in our vein of form with our players, we were knackered though. I'm not giving an excuse, but all I'm saying is fair play. I got it wrong.
So you were disrespectful to Preston?
I was, yeah.
And a former Norwich City manager as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Pete. Yeah.
I mean, let's stay on Bolton because I want us to be optimistic here. I'm not being dragged into this pessimism by you two. Chris, you've been praising a certain Thomas Tribal all season. He completed the most passes out of any Norwich player since statistics have begun. He's starting to hit some real form, isn't he?
I've said it over and over again. I've been berated on social media for saying Tribal over Tete early doors, but the facts are there. The facts are there. Tete's a quality player. Tribal's a better player though, and the evidence has been left on the pitch in the last few games. Fair play to him. He's got a brilliant attitude. He's fighting for his place in the team. He's desperate to do well at Norwich City, and what he's doing is just absolutely brilliant. I was just some of his passage of play in the run up to a couple of the goals at Bolton as well. His ability to win the ball back, but not just pass it sideways or backwards. He's able to actually think innovatively with it, and that's what puts him on the pedestal above Tete for me. But anyway, I don't want to go anti-Tete. I just want to say Tom Tribal. Wow, absolute player.
Pete, I mean, we've been really unlucky with injuries to midfielders this season. Leitner out for sustained periods, Vrancic currently out, Louis Thompson out, McLean's been injured at parts this season. With the current crop we've got, who is your midfield duo at the moment?
It's very difficult, isn't it? I mean, you're quite right. We have had injuries to players at certain times, but I think the good thing with midfield is we have got an abundance of options in that area, haven't we? Whereas, as we were saying earlier, my fear is if anything happened to Pookie, we haven't got someone who can come in, have we, that can do the same job. I think each end of the pitch, your goalkeeper, Tim Krul, and Pookie are are your two. They're the two places you wouldn't want to have to try and replace, would you? Realistically, I wouldn't want to see Michael McGovern in goal for 3 games if Tim Krul happened to be suspended for 3 matches or something like that. So, they're the 2 key players. Who are the 4 in midfield? Well, Emmy has to be 1, doesn't he?
I mean, that sort of holding 2 though.
The holding 2.
Does it have to be the holding 2?
I think you want one sort of more defensive-minded, deep-lying player, which at the moment on current form has to be Tribal, doesn't it?
And how impressed were you with Kenny McLean, who is sort of his first proper game for Norwich? Really,
it was. I mean, obviously he got injured, at the worst possible time for a new signing. When you first arrive at a club, you're obviously looking to, I guess, make an impression in front of your teammates, your new supporters, the manager who signed you, and obviously he came with a reputation and. Arguably, perhaps, did he have Maddison's boots to fill in some people's eyes? Maybe, I don't know.
Probably did, yeah.
And to get injured early on was a real setback. I know a lot of people I spoke to were really excited about. He was the one sort of summer signing. We thought, this boy is going to be good. And as you say, he got that injury, and we haven't seen a huge amount of him. But what we have seen since he's been back, he's looked good. Yeah, definitely.
I'm still hyped. I'm still excited. I still remember that game at Birmingham, the first game of the season away from home, to get that equaliser. He came on and he's such an engine, and his tempo is absolutely brilliant. And we said this probably 2 months ago. I think someone tweeted in the questions saying, what chance has McLean got coming into the team? And I think that he's definitely going to have a key role towards the back end of the season, particularly with the injuries. But I've honestly never been worried about... I'd be lying if I was to say I've been worried about missing Moritz Leitner. I would be lying, because Mario has been excellent. Tribal's been excellent. Tete has been really solid this season as well. I just... As Pete says, your midfield is the strongest midfield I've ever seen since
we've got
Norwich.
An abundance of options in there, haven't we? And we've been able to, roll with the punches of the odd suspension and a few injuries and this kind of thing, and still keep things going. I think you're right about McLean. The one thing I like about him is everything he seems to do seems to be of a forward nature. There's not too much of this, I'll just roll one back to the full back or back to the centre half. He always looks to get things going forwards on the front.
And that through ball, that through ball at the weekend.
For Remy, absolutely. And then he put the ball in from the free kick at West Brom when Jordan Rhodes equalised it. So he's got a lot to offer, definitely.
And Chris, I think we'll stick on this statistics path, because some of the stats coming out of the game at the weekend were incredible. Another one, Moritz Leitner completed more passes in the 10 minutes he was on the pitch than any Bolton player on the pitch. His return from injury is surely going to be important on the run-in.
It's huge. It's absolutely huge. I mean, arguably he's in the top 3 players in the league, hands down. You'd probably put Emi Buendia up there now as well. That's with my yellow and green glasses off as well. He is the sat-nav. He is excellent. The way that... What I like about him is he's so calm and composed, but in line with what Pete said about McLean, bringing it forwards and always looking for the forward option. Moritz does the same thing, but he's so cool, calm and collected, and that's what particularly impresses me, because you can easily be buffed off the ball in the Championship, but he seems to have this presence, this aura. When he's on the pitch, he demands respect from the opposition, and that you can't just get that, you earn that, and he's done that this season.
And Pete, defensively as well, we look a lot more assured. That's another clean sheet now. Bolton never really even came close. That's been another incredible thing this season, isn't it? We've got an 18-year-old, a 20-year-old.
Well, the two fullbacks have been outstanding. Although we were joking about the player of the season, thinking who comes in the running, those two are.
For me, it's Max Aarons.
See, I'd say Pookie, but Aaron's probably not far behind.
It's a good thing to argue about.
Yeah, of course it is. It's a nice thing to have an argument about, without any shadow of doubt. The two fullbacks have been fantastic. They give you just so much energy and drive.
Totally
they don't
agreed.
seem to be flustered, concerned, worried by anything.
No.
Whatever the occasion, they seem to rise to it. Touch wood, they don't pick up injuries, they don't pick up too many silly cards, they get the odd ones, but playing at fullback you go into up against pacey wingers and things. They've been excellent. There has been a lack of clean sheets throughout the season though, there's no doubt about that. That was the one sort of, I know it's a major nitpick at Leeds, 3-0 just sounds so much better than 3-1, doesn't it? And I did tweet at half time when we were 3-0 up at Bolton. I tweeted my 2 wishes for the second half.
Yeah.
1, a clean sheet, and secondly, I said a pressure-free penalty to get this monkey off our back. So someone can step up and take it at 3-0 and you put it away, no problem at all. And lo and behold, we get a 4th goal, missed a penalty, but I got one out of my 2 wishes with the clean
goal
sheet.
difference has been is better now though. By the way, the goal difference is actually it's kind of got a lot better, so that's particularly impressed me.
I want to stick on that point. Penalties. That's now 6 misses from 7 this season. 5 different players have missed penalties. Now, it might just be me thinking this, but what were we, 4-0 up, 3-0 up?
I know what you're going to say, yeah.
Why is Timu Pukki not taking it? Now, I know it was... Pukki didn't even want it. You could see it. He drew the foul, he won the penalty, and he gave the ball to McLean and went, you have it. You're a striker in the form of your life. Why do you not want it?
Quite an interesting thought on this, actually, is I think that this says a lot about the respect they have for Daniel Farke. Because you hear Daniel Farke afterwards in the press conference saying, no, it's my fault. I told Kenny that he was going to take the penalty. So I actually think that it says a hell of a lot about the respect that the players have for Daniel Farke's instruction. You think of Claudio Ranieri at Fulham, and I forgot the guy that took it off Mitrovic.
Tabara.
Yes.
And that says there, lack of discipline and lack of respect. And at Norwich City, there you go. Yeah. You know, all right, he missed it, but actually, I'm taking that as a weird little positive. Actually,
did it not happen with a Stoke player as well a couple of weeks back as well?
Possibly,
I think it was Clucas and someone were having a barney over who was going to take it. Ryan Shawcross stepped in as a captain and gave the ball to Clucas, and he stepped up and missed it. But what I'm trying to make the point is, I think there has to be a designated penalty taker.
But there's not, though, is there? Because 5 different players have taken one.
No, but there's never been any confusion in the game as to who's going to take it, has there? There's never been a after you, Claude, kind of thing, has there? It's been, we've known who's going to take the penalty in each game we've had. Whether they've converted them or not is another matter.
I'm with you, though, mate. I'm totally with you. Pookie, every time, smash it. Every time.
Is this a worry, though, Pete? Because I think the only games where we haven't scored a penalty and then gone on to drop points is West Brom, where we lost at home, and Preston away, where I'm not sure if that penalty would have turned the game anyway.
Oh, definitely.
Well,
yeah, I mean that was a nasty one to miss, wasn't it? I mean, 2-0 down, 15 minutes before half time, a chance to get yourself right back in the game. That was a crucial one to get to stick away.
Is this a worry? Because we've now missed so many that it is a pattern, it is a theme. And surely any player picking that ball up now to take the penalty is thinking, oh God, history's not on my side here.
It is a worry, of course. I mean, it becomes an even bigger worry if you end up in the playoffs, where a number of these games are settled by penalty shootouts, and we were all in Cardiff and saw the heartache when it goes wrong there. So I think only Norwich City could really employ a German manager, then miss 6 out of 7 penalties, couldn't they?
Very true.
So Chris, if you're on the Colney training pitch this week, and you're, setting yourselves up for Bristol, what's your routine now for penalties? Who are you giving it to? What are you telling them to do? What's the thought process here?
To be honest with you, Jack, I'm not overly going to focus on it if I'm Daniel Farke, because it becomes so much more of a psychological thing. If it happens, it happens. For me, my designated kick taker is Teemu Pukki all day long. He's your striker. He's in form. He knows how to hit the ball. And quite frankly, if he's not got the confidence, I don't know when he's ever going to have the confidence to take a penalty. It's got to come right eventually. It only comes with practice. You've got to do it in the stadium in front of the supporters. But for me, if I'm Daniel Farke, I'm continuing as normal. We're winning games of football. Yeah, all right. The one against Preston was bad. The one against West Brom was bad. But to be honest with you, it's not really an issue when you're winning games of football. It's just come on.
You're quite right. You can brush it under the carpet when you're 4-0 up at Preston or you're 4-0 up at Sheffield Wednesday. It's not the be-all and end-all. But there could become a time when it does become crucial. I was talking to my cousin about this on the phone at the weekend, and we were recalling, do you remember when Watford got to reach the playoffs?
Yeah.
And Adi Boothroyd used their last game of the league season. He asked all the crowd to stay in the ground at full time once the game was over, so they could practice penalties in full stadium. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Before they went to playoffs.
So are you saying it's our fault that we're missing penalties for not staying behind?
Well, no, we've not been asked to. But I'm just saying it's an interesting thought, because when you speak to players, they'll all say taking a penalty on the training ground is a different beast to taking one in front of 25,000. So Adi Boothroyd's idea, which I think was a bit of a masterstroke, was practice them after a game with the crowd in there.
What I would say though, to be a bit critical, is the penalties that we have missed have been pretty poor. I've not seen a penalty miss.
At least they've been on target.
Well, yeah, but I've not seen a penalty miss where I've thought
it's a cracking save.
Yeah, I've not thought that once. The one at the weekend, I mean, it was at the perfect height for Remy. It was at the perfect height, wasn't it?
It was, but sometimes you see some really good penalties saved and some crap ones go in, don't you?
Yeah.
So I don't. It's hard to tell, isn't it?
Let's talk about the aforementioned Remy Matthews there. He got into the team of the week. Yes, he conceded 4 goals. But surely Norwich City fans can hold their heads high about 2 former Norwich City academy graduates doing very well in the Championship.
You were quick to jump on the TNC account, tagging Remy and everything, mate.
I was. Does that not fill you with pride? Yet more fantastic goalkeepers produced from this wonderful club.
Yeah, I tell you, it does say a lot about the Norwich City goalkeeping factory. It absolutely does. But for me, with all due respect, when he's got another kit on, I hope we smash him. I hope we smash him, and we did. He made a couple of good TV saves. Of course, it was a good. It's always good to save a penalty, isn't it? And I have got respect for Remy Matthews. It just makes me laugh about your loving for him.
Did you watch that game and think, what could it have been?
What, with Remy Matthews? No, not really. I think he's.
You desperately wanted that.
He's a Bolton Wanderers goalkeeper, isn't he? I mean, he's He was on our academy books. Our management team deemed him not, quite good enough for the level we're at, and he's moved on to League One by the looks. I like the guy, and he's a good keeper, and I think he's going to earn a good career in the game. But I'm not, losing sleep over the fact that he's not playing for us anymore. No.
If you're watching on YouTube, comment below if you think that Remy Matthews should have stayed at Norwich City. Let's put this argument to bed once and for all.
So what is it with you and Remy Matthews? Are you
what is it, Jack?
Cousins?
Is he paying for your rent or something?
Just
cousins.
product of Great Yarmouth, and not too many good things come out of Yarmouth. So got a whole lot of things to do.
The A47 and not much else. I think.
Well, apparently, I did read today the Acle Strait will be duelled by 2023.
Really?
So that's a good thing.
I'm really impressed with you tonight. You've admitted your love-in for Remy. You've admitted that Great Yarmouth is tin pot as well. I mean, excellent work.
Have you seen the knitted Great Yarmouth at the
Oh,
Forum?
I mean, it stinks of Great Yarmouth, that, doesn't it?
Do you not think that's a
It
wonderful
reeks it.
piece of art?
Someone's knitted Great Yarmouth. I
amazing.
mean, I'm questioning their... okay.
Anyway, let's get on to some Twitter questions. Okay, let's get on to some Twitter questions, and thanks to everyone who has got in touch. Once again, I haven't read any of these before we're getting into it, which is always dangerous territory. So, Ollie Bensley has tweeted us and says, Pete, what's your final league prediction for both the bottom of the table, so who will go down, and also the top, who will go up? And will Teemu Pukki finish with the golden boot?
A lot of questions
There is
isn't
yeah.
there? Right, so
let's start at the bottom.
let's
Who's
start at
going
the bottom.
down?
I think the 3 teams going down are going to be Bolton Wanderers, Ipswich Town, and Rotherham United.
Ooh.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Warniola,
Yeah.
Jack's future Norwich manager to be, would you believe?
So you don't think Nelson will keep Reading up?
Yeah, I just said,
you do.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
do think.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
you
yeah.
do think. He'll
3 teams are going down, Jack. Reading, I didn't mention. That means they're staying up.
So Nelson, in that case, is a fantastic striker, taking Reading to heady heights.
Well, 4 from bottom.
All right, let's go to the top then. Who's going up?
Automatically?
Yeah.
This is tough, isn't it?
And I don't want just 2 teams. I want this defined. Who's first? Who's second?
Go on, just say
It is hard, isn't it?
I know you want to say it. Just say it. Let it go. You're on the TNC podcast.
Who do I want to go up? Who do
No.
I think?
Who do
Obviously,
you
wants
think?
in.
Go on.
I've got to say, I think Sheffield United are relentless, aren't they?
Yeah.
Absolutely relentless. And fair play to them. They tossed off that 3-goal lead at Villa the other night in 12 minutes. That could have killed them, couldn't it? But they came back and beat Borough 1-0 with a clean sheet.
Yeah.
Then thumped Reading 4-0.
Yeah.
They are relentless. They remind me a lot of us under Paul Lambert with Grant Holt playing the Billy Sharp role, if you like.
Yeah, agreed.
Love him or loathe him. I think Wilder's a fantastic manager. He's done a superb job there with the players he's got and the resources he's got, and he's got them going. I think they're going to get one of the top 2 places.
You haven't said if they're going to be first or second, though, and
No.
that was my question.
Okay. Sheffield United are going to be second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now, I'm very excited to hear who you're about to say is going to be first then, in that case.
Norwich City.
You are going
Yes!
to Norwich? Are you? Yeah. You think? So Leeds are going to tail off?
Roof's out.
Yeah, I think the biggest threat to us going up in the top 2 places are West Brom and Sheffield United rather than Leeds,
Wow.
in my opinion.
What makes you think that Leeds are going to have a slight...
I think the weight of expectation, Leeds are a phenomenal club. They're huge. They're arguably bigger than Norwich, Sheffield United and West Brom put together. They're huge, massive club. One of the top 6, certainly top 8 clubs in this country. Huge history, massive fan base. And I just think the weight of expectation there could...
Yeah.
And you mentioned there, Chris, Kemar Roof, he's going to be sidelined for a few weeks with knee ligament injury. Do you think that could play a big effect with them?
I think it will. You hear a lot
Patrick
of...
Bamford, can he step up?
Well, you know that he's an absolute fraud, Jack, don't you? He absolutely is. He is. He's a fraud of a footballer, he is. But what I would say is, and I'm going off what Leeds fans... I mean, I stalked the Leeds fans today on Twitter, and their reaction was it was the end of the world.
Right.
And I don't blame them. I don't think they're too confident in the players to step up for them. But, of course, it's not going to affect it too much. It's only one player, isn't it? But then it could be that Teemu Pukki thing. If Teemu Pukki was out for us, Norwich fans would be like, this is really bad news as well. So
you can sit here and call it now, then a club could lose a key player, or something can happen and it'll change.
I've never felt so confident. I was so worried about Aston Villa, and now they're just not in the room for me. West Brom have continued to tick over. I've always had respect for Sheffield United in terms of their consistency and their players, not their manager. I think they've done very well, and I think they'll be in there with us. As I said, after the Leeds game, I genuinely think we can go on to win this league. I think it's our league to lose now. It is. You look at the games that we've got coming up. Of course, Bristol City at home is a huge game to follow up from that away win at Bolton. You know, that's a huge test for us. The form that Bristol have been in has been ridiculous. I've just got so much confidence. I just can't see us bottling it.
I just think the thing is that we can do it.
Yeah.
Whether we will or not, only time will tell. But I think what we must be mindful and respectful of is we are one of 4, maybe 5 clubs that could do it, and it is very, very tight.
Yeah.
You can perm any 2 from those 5 for the top 2 places, and give a reason for any of them realistically.
Yeah, there'll be lots of chopping and changing as well. That's the other thing to bear in mind. I think for everyone watching and listening,
people are going to have to accept there's going to be probably 2 or 3 more Prestons along the way.
Yeah, definitely.
That's going to happen. We are going to drop from where we are back down.
2 or 3 more, happy days.
Absolutely.
Is that it?
If you feel, and if
win the league,
and if you follow it up with a Bolton type performance, yeah, absolutely.
And I suppose at least we've proven now, Pete, that we have got that bounce back ability.
Absolutely. That was as I was saying earlier. I think the nice thing was we had that game so soon after Preston to go out, get it out your system, and it wasn't a scabby 1-0, was it? It was a very comprehensive. I appreciate Bolton. Brazil of the 1970s, but with the best will in the world, you can only beat what's in front of you.
But we are.
I'm not sure we
are a vintage Brazil.
Well, not quite yet.
Admit it.
I think we must not get too carried away. Let's not forget we are in the 2nd division here.
Come on, Pete. Come on.
Elliot Waterfield, will Pookie break the single season goals record for the Championship? I think that currently stands with 30 goals. I can't remember who done it. I think it's 30. Will Pookie break that, Chris? Pete?
I think he's got every opportunity to. I really do.
If he stays fit, it's hard to see him not doing it, really, isn't it? We're not all of a sudden going to be a side that's going to stop creating chances. So
it's Glen Murray who broke the record, 30 goals.
Okay.
He's got 30, did he?
He got 30.
Yeah.
Probably all penalties, weren't they?
Well, if Pookie would have taken all the penalties this season and even scored half of them, he would have pretty much been on 30 goals. I mean, that's not bad, is it?
You can't knock Murray for taking penalties when we can't do it.
Oh no, I just hate Brighton.
Really? What's your beef with them?
I just think they're a tin pot football club. I really do. I can't hide it.
You like to fall out with a lot of people, don't you?
I'm just honest. I'm not here to sit on the fence, Pete.
No.
Brighton, they're a tin pot football club.
Harsh.
Let's move on. Right. Now this is a good question. Total football display on Saturday from Norwich. How do we and Farker keep everyone's feet on the ground? What do you think the mood's like around that training pitch? Do you think they're starting to think, oh shit, this could actually happen now?
Well, they must have. They've got to look at the league table to see where we are and the number of games there is left. But I mean, you would imagine that the mood and the spirit in the camp is as upbeat and positive as it possibly can be with the way things are going. I think the big thing is as well this season, there is no level of expectation. We're not Leeds with that rich history and that big demanding fan base. We've not spent the money that Villa have spent. We've not got the level of expectancy of Stoke, who came down and thought they were going to walk straight back up with
West
their
Brom,
Premier League players. Same with West Brom, And I think that's helping us. And I think our fans are...
Do you think there's surely expectation now, though?
Of course there's expectation, but there isn't the pressure of expectation, is there?
Okay.
You know what I mean? There has to be expectation now because of where we are, the way we've played, and the number of games that are left.
I mean, you've been, in and around the club in promotion campaigns before. Do players start to sense? Do they start to feel nerves at this point because they know that something great could happen?
I don't know. You'd have asked players that. I think everyone working at the club at a time when you are on the verge of achieving something, you do get a bit nervous because you want it so badly, don't you? And it's a build, a season's work that everything's channeling in and sort of closing down to what you hope is going to be a satisfactory conclusion.
Definitely. Right, next question. Josh, he says, is this current Norwich City team one of the best we've ever had? Chris, thoughts?
Yeah, it's one of the best. It is one of the best, definitely. I mean, Pete quite rightly said at the beginning of the podcast, I think that Worthington team was very, very special. We had such a good defence that year. I know we had Hucks, but my God, we had Robert Green, Malky, Craig Fleming, Ed Worthy, Jury, and they were in the form of their life. They were at the form of their life, and I think that this team is getting there to that point. But to be honest with you, they've not won anything yet. So I think it's a bit early to answer that question in full. But as it stands, if they go on to win the league, playing this well, absolutely they're one of the best. But they have to win something first.
Pete?
I think Chris has hit the nail on the head there. I think what we've got to remember is, first and foremost, we are in the middle of February. We have not been promoted yet. We're in a very good position. And is this the best Norwich City team ever? Nowhere near it. We're in the second division, for Christ's sake. This isn't John Bond's team of the 1970s that took the first division by storm. This isn't Mike Walker's team that played all that attractive football to finish third in the Premier League.
An education for our younger audience here.
But let's be realistic about it. I mean, people were talking about Steeperman the other day and saying, what a wonderful midfield player he was, the best the club have ever had. I mean, he isn't fit to Lacey and Crook or Martin Peters' boots, is he? Good player, having a great season, but let's be realistic. We're in the second division.
Absolutely.
But have you enjoyed this season more than sort of a lot?
Have I ever? Absolutely. It's been fantastic. And I think the reason I've enjoyed it so much is because my level of expectation was, unsurprisingly, very low at the start of this season. Ironically, I did...
Post down for relegation?
No, I didn't post down for relegation, but I did go out. Must have been... We played your team that you like very much, Brighton, in a pre-season friendly before the start of last season.
Quality side.
Went out for a drink with a couple of mates, and we all said, look, how do we think the season's going to go? And I said, I think we'll finish 14th. And we finished 14th. I was bang on. We all went out at the start of this season, and I said to them, well, look, I can't see us reaching the dizzy heights of 14th this year. I said, Maddison carried us last year.
Yep,
we had Gunny's boy in goal. We had a bit of magic from Jacob Murphy. And we had some decent defending from Grant Hanley.
So what did you put
all we've got left is Grant Hanley.
What did you honestly think?
I said we'd be bottom six, but there'll be 3 teams worse than us.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
And to be fair...
And I think most people thought that.
I don't think that was an
the top
outrageous
journos
opinion.
did, yeah.
I don't think that was an outrageous
Did you go to Sheffield Wednesday away, last game of last season?
No, thank God.
No, I listened to it.
I did, yeah. And you walked out of there and you just thought, once the inevitable sale of Maddison happens and Gunny's boy goes back to Manchester City... Didn't know Murphy was going to be sold then, but he, like all wingers, blows hot and cold. Mm-hmm. You just thought, if we've not got Handley, we've got nothing.
Did you think at that point, walking out of Hillsborough, I think it was we seemed to just get crushed there for a couple of games in a row. Did you walk out of there and think, I don't know where it's going with Farker?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think it didn't look pretty, did it? And I think the bizarre thing about this season, I don't know what you guys think, is... Throughout last year, and let's be honest, we watched some dog-awful games, didn't we? Bolton at home, Forest at home. I mean, it was verging on the unwatchable at times. There was passing for passing's sake rather than this fast, progressive, exciting football we're seeing now. It wasn't great. And all the way throughout last season, did you ever sit there thinking, God, this is getting better, I can really see what they're doing here, we're going to take off next season?
No, you didn't.
And did you sit there thinking... Marco Steeperman, he's struggling at left back, but clearly he's going to run our midfield next year. We can all see that. No one thought that.
Vrancic as well.
Vrancic.
Jack had him down as a League One player famously last season.
I mean, and you looked at Zimmerman, you thought, well, Zimmerframe, I christened him.
Really? I didn't think Zimmerman was that bad.
What, last season?
No.
Shocking.
Pete, Arsene Wenger had him down as one of the best players in the league.
Yeah, he's a serial trophy dodger, isn't he? But no,
I agree with what you're saying, mate.
Is,
absolutely.
You've got 3 players there, the aforementioned Vrancic, Zimmerman and Steeperman.
They've come to life.
They were almost like being brought a car, but being told it's got to be in the garage for 12 months before it's roadworthy, isn't it? But now we can drive it, and they're fantastic. But for the first year, they were... dreadful. And in all seriousness, all joking aside, I think this is where perhaps Stuart Webber and the recruitment team deserve a real pat on the back.
Absolutely.
Because the players they brought in this summer, i.e. Pookie, i.e. Buendia, have hit the ground running. They've been ready to use from the off. There's been none of this, he needs to get acclimatised to the country, he needs to, settle into the new environment. Do you not believe in that, Pete? Yes and no, but what I'm saying is, these 2 guys have hit the ground running, and hasn't that made a huge difference?
Do you think that's been learnings from the, your Marcel Frankers and your James Husband type signings? Do you think we've learned, okay, so the Zimmerman, there was traits of him that worked, and there was traits of Vrancic that worked in the first season. Let's get the finished product now, and that's your Buendia, and that's
whether the sale of Murphy gave them a little bit more money to play with to bring in some better quality. But
we haven't spent money.
No, well, there's no such thing as a free transfer, is there? You've still got agent fees and wages and this type of business, haven't you? So I think we probably had a little bit more room for manoeuvre this summer than we did last summer, is what I'm saying, which might have helped them. But credit where it's due, we've brought people in who've hit the ground running, and that's made a big difference.
Speaking of players resurrecting themselves from the dead, Dennis Rabeni. Next season, is he going to be the next Timu Pukki, Pete?
I don't think so. Do you? No, he's a useful squad player, but I don't think he's going to score too many goals. Do you?
How do you rate his hat, his icon hat?
His icon hat?
Yeah, have you seen his icon hat?
I haven't seen his icon hat.
He wears a hat with icon on the front.
Really?
What do you rate that?
Unnecessary. No.
Is he an icon in your life?
Not in my life. No, he might be in someone's, his own mirror, but I don't think. No, I mean he's
working hard. He's working hard.
He's a willing trier, isn't he?
Yeah, and that's all we want.
Absolutely. Yeah. But
Can I just hang on, just quickly on Dennis Rabeni? God, I was giggling to myself. By the way, I've got so much respect for Dennis Rabeni. I just love it. Did you watch the club YouTube video? It was the utility, whatever it was. It was some sponsored thing.
Yeah.
And they had the big blow up target, and all you had to do was kick the ball to stick in the target. It was like a game of darts.
Yeah, I think I saw a little clip of it.
And Dennis Rabeni, he hit the ball. You'll have to go and watch it. Please go and watch this on the club YouTube channel. He had 3 shots. 2 of them hit it and fell off, and 1 of them completely missed.
Well,
and
surely that's the fault with the target, not Dennis Rabeni.
It definitely wasn't, but it just made me giggle.
Next question from Erica Band. A question to the panel, please, from the Southwest Canaries. Who's been to more Norwich City away games this season? Benjamin Bloom or Chris Reeve? Now, I'm not sure if you're aware of Benjamin Bloom.
Very much so, yeah. Very good guy, isn't he? Saw your chat with him pre the derby. Very knowledgeable on the championship scene, full stop. And, speaks very well about his own club as well.
But, of course, an Ipswich Town fan.
He is, yeah. But
Is he an Ipswich fan? I'm starting to question it.
Well, I think he's been to more away games than you this season.
How many Norwich away games has he been to?
I think he's done 3.
Okay, I've done 5.
Have you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that one to bed then.
So that shut
Should
the
we move
Southwest
on?
Canaries up then. Any more away games on the cards this season, Chris?
Millwall. Looking forward to the Millwall. Last time we went to Millwall was
that went well.
absolutely disgusting, and I vividly remember having to hold the camera for you because you said, Chris, I don't want to do any MDE content. I was like, Jack, you need to do your content. And I remember holding the camera. And do you remember that car that crashed outside? There was like an abandoned, burnt-in car outside the den. It was very questionable.
Yeah, indeed.
So Millwall, I'm going to Millwall.
Good. Right, have we got any more questions?
That was a dig, by the way. Who was that?
No, I don't think it was a dig. I think it was sent in good vibes. Let me see. Is there any more questions here? Okay, now we're getting slightly ahead of ourselves. I know you don't like to get ahead of ourselves here, Pete. But questions from at Shadow95247546.
What a username that is.
Something to go about with, isn't it?
What would Norwich City?
With icon on.
What would Norwich City have to do to stay in the Premier League? Now we're not there yet.
Well, we'd have to get there first, and I think that sort of question annoys me.
Does it?
We're not there yet. Let's worry about that when we get there.
But do you think? I mean, we've gone up under Lambert, we've gone up under Neil. Do you think the style would change too much? Do you think there'd be an overhaul in players if we were to go up under Farker?
I've got no idea, but we need to get there first.
Yeah,
we're
he's
one of 5
refusing to
teams.
answer. Simple as that.
It's like saying could we win the Champions League in 2025?
Of course we could.
Possibly, yeah, but we need to qualify for it first, don't we? And what players will we need and what style do we play?
This is the TNT podcast. We just talk nonsense, Pete.
Yeah, I know, but we should have a bit of realism and we should focus on beating Bristol City first.
I agree with that.
That's a fantastic link. Let's talk about Bristol City. Chris, they have the best form in the Championship. They've won 7 in a row. They're unbeaten in 10.
Did they lose to Wolves in the end in the Cup?
Okay, we're talking about league form here. They did lose to Wolves.
Was that at home that they lost that game to Wolves?
Yeah. Was it? Okay.
Could be a bit of a wobble there, couldn't it?
So we're calling a wobble after one defeat?
Well, it could be.
Were you calling Norwich City's form a wobble after we lost to Preston?
Absolutely not. I'm just saying that could affect their confidence.
So how are you feeling going into this Saturday's game now?
Can I just ask you a question first? Do you know anything about Marnie Watkins' recent form?
No. Probably not playing if they're doing well.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, I'm worried about that.
Were you worried about Marnie Watkins?
He does play for Bristol, right?
He
Barnsley or Bristol? Am I losing the plot here?
We unfortunately signed him from Barnsley, but we were fortunate enough to sell him to Bristol City.
There you go. There it is.
That's right. Yeah. I don't think he's been playing much for him. I think he's had an injury, so I don't think he'll be involved on Saturday. But who knows? I've got no concerns about Bristol City. I'm thrilled they're on a fantastic run. I'd much rather play a team that's won 8 on the spin than just lost 9 on the spin, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You know, someone rocks up at Carrow Road,
I rate
not won 9 games, not won in 9 away games. You know what's coming, don't you?
Yeah.
We're everyone's run breaker. So let's be Bristol City's on Saturday, I say.
Score prediction?
2-0.
That's my question. You're taking
I'm
my
taking
question.
your job, mate.
In all seriousness, though, these are the kind of games that have potential to define our season, don't they? Leeds have got tough games coming up. So have West Brom. So have Sheffield United.
Leeds have got Bolton, haven't they?
Exactly. Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of the run-in,
yeah. I don't think these games define us anymore. I think the key for Norwich now is pulling together a string of victories. I mean, I'm talking 3-4 victories, then a loss or a cheeky draw in there. 3-4 victories.
So to do that, we need to beat Bristol. So it is defining.
I think
the season-defining moment was beating Leeds United in their own backyard, and then absolutely tonking the scum at home as well. That was the season-defining moment. I think that now we need to be calm, composed, and do what we know we can do, and then we should do it.
Yeah, I think the thing to be mindful of is we just need to. It sounds boring. We do need to take it one game at a time. You know, we're not there yet. And if we try and get too far ahead of ourselves, so I think if you'd have asked someone about Bristol City at home 6 weeks ago, you'd say, "Oh, well, that's an easy 3 points."
Yeah.
You know, and now all of a sudden they're well in good form. You know, so what you think now is going to be easy might well not be when you get there. So let's just, Bristol City aren't going to be relishing coming to Carrow Road, are they? They're going to have watched how well we played at Bolton, and they're going to know they're going to be in for a game.
Chris, what's your approach in terms of team selection going into this? Are you keeping it unchanged? Are you bringing in Norwich Light now he's fit? What's your thoughts?
Well, my initial reaction straight away was just keep the same team.
Okay.
I just don't see why you would change a team that's just gone and won 4-0, full stop, in any circumstance. I think that Moritz could do with warming in still. I think we should be a little bit delicate with him. Yes, I've said that he's, arguably for me in the top 3 players in the league, but I would be careful with him. I would be careful with him. I wouldn't be too. And also, I think Kenny deserves. I think Kenny deserves a start at Carrow. I really do. And I think that it would be good to give him some respect and give him a start.
What about the defence, Pete? We've got Grant Hanley there sitting on the bench, Tim Close sitting on the bench. Does that change?
I mean, it's very difficult to change a back 4 that's just kept a clean sheet in a 4-0 away win, isn't it? I think it just.
But as you said there, we were defending against Sammy Ameobi.
Were you two guys a bit surprised that he didn't? I know it's always easy to speak with the benefit of hindsight, but that he didn't freshen it up a little bit for Preston. Bearing in mind we'd had 3 monumental games. Sheffield United. Yeah. I think we put a lot into Leeds away.
So with you.
Mentally, Ipswich at home physically, and I thought he really could have freshened it up. I'm not saying drop Godfrey, rest hhim. There's a difference between dropping a player and resting a player, and I would have certainly brought Hanley back in for that. I think Stiepermann I'd have brought Hanley back in because Closer was not even on the bench for Preston, was he?
I don't think
he was. No, so Hanley I'd have had in for Preston, and again perhaps McLean for Stiepermann maybe at Preston.
You don't like Stiepermann, do you?
I don't dislike him.
You do.
I thought he wasn't as good. He was very good at Leeds. Wasn't quite so good against Ipswich. Made a real mess of that ball through the Pookie, didn't he? Then he missed the penalty at Preston, but he came good at Bolton, didn't he?
So, with that being said, would you rest players for this weekend?
I don't know. I mean, I think Bristol City are a good side. They're in good form. You've got to go with the players that are playing. And realistically, it's difficult to.
You're resting Stiepermann, aren't you? Admit it.
No, I don't know if I necessarily would.
Okay.
No, I think he's done enough to warrant being in the team at the moment, hasn't he?
Chris, score prediction?
Oh, God, do I have to say it?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go 3-2 Norwich.
Okay.
I think it'll be a very open game. I don't think they're going to come and park the bus. I think it'll play into our favour, but ultimately I think I think that they'll come and surprise us. They've got the potential to come and surprise us anyway, because they've not really got anything to lose. They come into the team at the top of the league. This is Norwich City's problem at the moment. We've created this issue, which is that teams will come to us. They'll try their very best to be in fifth gear from the off, which will put more pressure on our defence. Will we be able to cope with that? I mean, that's the golden question, isn't it? But for me, I think that they'll come. I think that they've got the potential to surprise us, and I think that we'll see a 3-2.
Pete, I can remember
Norwich, obviously.
That result at Ashton Gate was 2-2. We came from behind twice.
We did, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with Chris with it being an open game at Carrow Road?
I think so. I think Bristol City are a side who will come and have a go on the front foot. They haven't got too many players. Again, famous last words. You don't want to talk anything up to you, but who have they got that really frightens you?
Be careful, you'll get scrutinised for saying anything
Jeju,
to anyone
Brownhill.
on this podcast.
Yeah. But I suppose on the flip
But
side,
they've
you
not
look
got
at
a
the
Billy
Norwich.
Sharp or a Roof, you know.
Is this the gift team? Is this the team that posts loads
Yes,
of goal
it
gifts?
is, yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Do you like that or not?
Yeah, a
Is
lot
that
of
Tim
interest.
Pot? Or is that good?
No comment.
Okay.
I've got respect for innovative social media content.
Of course you have. Right, books. Where can people buy these from, Pete?
I
Your
believe
lovely
that
books.
those three books, the Bragging Rights, the Quiz Book and the A to Z, I believe are all on sale in the official
Pass them over.
Canaries
Let's
store.
get these up. Let's get these covers familiar. Come on, Jack. Pass them here, old boy.
I want to do a quick question on something in here.
Honestly, this is a non-paid advertisement. I've read this from the beginning to the end, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Every single Norwich City fan. If you do not own the Bragging Rights book, are you even a Norwich fan? That's my question.
Right, we're going to end on a question.
Go on then.
Chris, you've said many a time your favourite player is Dion Dublin.
Love Dion.
And page 67 of the Canaries quiz book is a quiz all about Dion Dublin.
Oh, God.
Question number 640.
I've not read this one all the way through.
How many times was Dion capped by England? You can both answer this. Ooh. You wrote the book, so I hope you know. Chris, he's your biggest fan. He's your biggest hero.
Don't know much about his England career.
I thought you would have done for an idol.
He's not my idol, old boy. I'm going to go 15 times capped by England.
Okay.
If we're taking the play your cards right route, I'll go lower.
Okay, how many?
I'd say 2.
Dion Dublin won 4 caps.
Oh.
For England. Right, one more question. Let's go 4. Let's go for Brian Gunn. A quiz about Brian Gunn. Now, he will be offended if you get this question wrong.
Oh, God.
Question number 628.
He actually will, by the way.
What was the title of Brian Gunn's autobiography? Let's go Chris first, because I think you know this one. Chris. Now, I really do hope, annoying. Brian, if you're watching,
no.
I really hope...
Yeah, you've got to get this, haven't you? I mean,
I mean, he would have thought so, wouldn't he?
It's almost like saying what colours the Norwich play, isn't it?
Shut up. Oh, he's going to muller me here. I've had a complete brain fart.
You've never read it, have you, Chris?
I have read it.
No, I don't think you have, mate. And I would have thought you would have done.
Oh, Chris, how have I forgotten this?
You don't know, do you?
Is it like... Oh, shit. Go on, save me.
In Where It Hurts.
In Where It Hurts.
Oh, that's so embarrassing.
And on that bombshell, we'll end episode number 78 of the TNC podcast. Pete, a pleasure having you along, mate. Thank you so much for coming along.
Good to see you.
Thanks to everyone for watching. If you've enjoyed, please like it on YouTube. Subscribe on iTunes, why not? And of course, go and buy all 3 books. See you later. Bye-bye.